Today we're talking chestnuts. I'm going to go over everything I know about chestnuts and how to grow them, and hopefully this will help you out on your field or your food plot area or your land where you want to plant some chestnut trees. And I'm going to share my experience with you and how I got to this point of trying to grow my own chestnuts. So let's get started on this. So I need to take you back a couple of years. I don't know, I think we're either on our fourth or fifth season now for putting in the food plots up on the property. And so what I did that first year was I went and bought a bunch of white oaks, hybrid white oaks, and then I bought these chestnut trees from Morse Nursery over in Detroit. And at that time they were calling American Chinese chestnuts and whatever. Now it seems like the common name is Dustin chestnuts, which is basically the same tree. It's a crossbreed of the American and Chinese. So back in the day, I don't know how many years ago, the chestnuts got this blight, the American chestnut, and it wiped out a lot of the chestnut trees, especially over on the East Coast, I guess, was where it really got hit hard. And so somebody came up with the idea to mix the two together with the Chinese, because the Chinese was more blight resistance, but the American has the sweeter nut. So they combined the two, and that's where the Dustin chestnut comes from. So a few years ago, I bought these chestnut trees and I planted them up on our property. And I think I bought like 8 of them, and I think I have about 4 of them that are still alive. Okay, still growing. Here's one right here. I got a little video of one here. This is my biggest tree. So that's, about 4 years growth there that you're looking at. So what I did with these chestnuts is I did not put them in the tubes like they show on a lot of the YouTube channels. I just put them in cages. And that's why mine is a lot wider at the bottom. It's not the tall, skinny chestnut tree that you see on a lot of the videos. So the other thing that I can tell you is that they have to have full sun. Okay, so if it's not out in that middle of that field getting full sun, it's probably not going to grow that great, because I have other trees that just are not doing as well, and they're because they're shaded. They're in areas where there's other bigger trees around, and they just don't do that well. So it seems to me that chestnut tree needs to have its own space, plenty of space around it, lots of sunlight, and they seem to do very well then when you have that scenario. So anyhow, when I bought these chestnuts a few years ago, I think I paid, I believe it was less than $10 a tree, okay? And so just to help you out here, I went and looked it up the other day. I went on two websites. Chestnut Hill Outdoors is in Florida. They had 1-year-old and 1.5-year-old trees, and they ranged from $24 to $30. Okay. So then I went on Morse Nursery, where I had gotten my trees from. They're over in Michigan, and they had 1-year-old and 2-year-old trees for $19.50 and $23.50, but they were out of stock, so they really don't have any trees to sell you. So I don't know why there's such an increase from just 5 years ago. I really don't have the answer to that. I don't know if they've gained that much popularity in the last 5 years, or they're that hard to grow that they only have so many seedlings a year and they're hard to get, which drives the price up if there's a high demand for them. But anyhow, I started watching these videos, and one of the guys I watched was the guy at Country View Acres, okay? And I'm not sure where exactly he's at. He's probably a little south of here. We're in northern Wisconsin, so we have a tougher growing climate. But I'm still in Zone 5, where our land is still in Zone 5. We're closer to the Lake Michigan, so Zone 5, depending on what maps you look at, Zone 5 kind of goes up at an angle, and closer to the lake is still Zone 5. And then as you get into northwest Wisconsin, you're in Zone 4. Once you get up into those areas where it's cold all the time, it's a little tougher to grow stuff than down south, like Illinois or Indiana or even Ohio or any of them areas. They're a little bit further south, so you have little milder climates. But anyhow, I watched this guy in Country View Acres, and he was growing his own chestnut trees from seed. And I thought, boy, that seems like a good idea. That would be way cheaper than going and, paying, average of $25 a tree. So the first year, so this would be 2 years ago now, I went and I bought seeds in spring, off of eBay. Now, I also went on eBay and looked this up. And on eBay, you can get a 25 count of seeds for anywhere from $14 to $27.50. So that's at 25 seeds, that's less than $1 a seed, okay? So, if you get a tree out of every seed, that would be great, which I doubt that'll happen. But if you did get a tree out of every seed, that would be $1 a tree. So that's a pretty reasonable price. So I bought them in spring, thinking that I could just take them and plant them in the ground. And the person that was selling them on eBay said that they were already cold stratified, which means that these seeds have to sit over winter in a cold area. What you do is you put them in your fridge. We'll get to that in a minute. But so they said they were cold stratified already and that I could just plant them. So when I got the seeds, they just looked like normal seeds. They didn't have any taproot growing out of them or nothing, So I planted a bunch of them, and I think I have 3 trees that grew out of 25 seeds. Okay, so to me that was kind of a failure. Okay, so after watching this guy on Country View Acres, he talked about the cold stratification process, and so I thought, okay, so this year, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy some seeds in fall. Okay, fresh seeds. So I bought, a 25 count of fresh seeds. And so what you do is I'll open one of these up here. Is you take this container and you're filling it with peat moss. Okay, so you get it good and wet, and not soaking wet, but good. It has to be damp. It is still wet. I never added any water all winter, and this is still damp, But you fill this up, and then you lay your seeds in here, and I forget how many I have in each one, probably close to a dozen in each container here. And then you put them in your refrigerator over the winter, okay? And now it's almost April here in Wisconsin, so I'm going to dig these out. You're going to see this firsthand. I'm going to dig these out and see what's on them. I don't know if there's anything on them. I can't really see any from the sides or nothing, so I don't know. We're learning this together. So what we should have is some nuts with some tap roots growing out of them, and then we're going to transplant them into a container. Oops, sorry. We're going to transplant them into these containers and put them in a warm spot, warm window, until the weather gets a little better outside. Our weather here in Wisconsin, probably you're looking at beginning of May before you're clear on freezing and stuff. So they're going to probably sit in this window for almost a month up here. But so let's dig in here and see what we got. I'm just going to very carefully scrape this off the top until I get to a nut, because you don't want to damage that tap root that's growing out of that nut. So here's a nut right here. Well, there's number one. There's nothing on it. I don't know. Here's number two. That one looks like it's half rotten. Number three, still nothing. Not looking very good, folks. floor, that one looks like it's half rotten too. I'm failing. Oh no, look at this. Oh, here we go. Look at this, number 5 is the lucky winner. So here's the taproot, okay? That's the way they're supposed to look. They're supposed to have that taproot coming out of them, okay? So there's one. So like I say, this is just an experiment. So I don't know if I had this too wet. I do know that they froze. We get a very, very cold winter here in Wisconsin. I mean, the whole country had a cold spell here back in February sometime. And so, you know, like Texas and those areas, they had, what, a couple of days where it got really cold. Well, we're like that for a couple of weeks, you know. So my garage where I have this refrigerator, on a normal winter day, so normal temperatures around here are 20, 25 degrees, okay? My garage is in the mid-30s, okay, on the inside. So it's not freezing in there. But when it gets down into that deep freeze where we're at, you know, minus 10 degrees here in Wisconsin for 2 weeks straight, it gets, you know, I get up in the morning, it's, you know, 10 degrees in that garage. So these did freeze. And that may be what you're seeing here. I don't know, you know. Like I said, this is all new to us. We're experimenting here. We're learning together. The other thing is I could have got them, you know, these could have been too wet. Maybe I had them way too wet. You know, I don't know. See this nut. I mean, it's a little moldy on the outside, but that nut is still hard. So I don't know, you know. Just keep going here and see if we get another one with a taproot on it. I mean, that one almost looks like there's something there. Nothing on that one either. We're not doing so good here, are we? Oh, there we got one. Lucky number 2. There's 2. So what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna say this one almost looks like it's ready to grow. So yeah, so I had a dozen of them in that one there. So let's look at the next one here. Now just off of what I'm seeing here, this one here was relatively dry. This one here is pretty wet yet. So let's see if there's a difference here in what we have. That one looks kind of rotten. One of the questions I had that wasn't really explained in their videos was, do you put holes in this? Should there be air? Should there be air getting in at this dirt? And that was the one thing that I had a question on that I still didn't necessarily have an answer to. But let's keep going here. See how many we get. See this one here. This one here looks like it's rotten. It's cracked open, and it's pretty nasty inside there. So I got a feeling, just seeing what I'm seeing here, I got a feeling that I had them way too wet. There's another rotten one. And maybe I had them way too wet. way too wet, or I planted them too deep. You know, maybe they shouldn't necessarily be under the ground. Maybe they should just be laying on top. I really don't know for sure. That one's pretty rotten. Well, we're definitely not batting 1,000 here, that's for sure. This one looks like it's got some growth on it, possibly. What I'm doing here is I'm just feeling them when I clean them up here. I'm just feeling them to see if they're rotten. These here are all, that one's bad. These here are all really hard yet. They seem like they're a good chestnut yet. That's rotten. So I got 4, 8. So I got 10 of them there that are still hard. These are all, you can tell they're rotten. They're soft. They're like, mush, you know? That one's mush. And there we got one. There's another one with a taproot on it. All right. Well, you saw it here first, people. So we got five nuts that look like they're healthy and growing, and I'm not sure about that one. So we'll say 4 and a possible maybe. So out of 25 nuts, that's not a very good. That's not a very good percentage of good versus bad. So, you know, what did I do wrong? You know, too wet. This one was pretty wet. That one was kind of dry. But I still got the same result in both containers. So I'm wondering if it should have air. Because this, you can see I took this cover off. There's moisture on the inside of this cover. Like it's, you know, like that could be causing a problem, causing the mold problem, maybe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these hard ones, I'm going to stick them back in there and put them back out in the garage and see if they do anything in the next month. And these ones that have the roots on, we're going to plant. So what you have to do is this root wants to go down. So you're supposed to lay it in there, okay? And make a hole for that root, and then just kind of lay it in there. You don't want to damage that root in any way, and then just pack some dirt around that chestnut, okay? So the chestnut's still kind of sticking out the top, all right? And then that gives a place for that root to grow down in there. And the other part of the tree is going to grow out of that same hole, and it's going to come up and it's just going to grow out the top. So I guess in reality, you know, I bought 25 chestnuts last year and just planted them in the spring, and I got 3 or 4 trees, and I did it in the refrigerator now. I did my own cold stratification, and you know, I got about the same amount of good chestnuts, and we don't know that these are going to turn into trees yet. So I was hoping for better results. I really was. And because that guy at Country View Acres, man, his whole thing was full of roots, you know. So So either I'm missing a little bit of a step here, or it's just the way it is. And you know, the fact that these are so rotten like that, I'm thinking I may have had it too wet. But I don't know, you know. So, so let's get the rest of these planted, and we'll go from there. All right, so we got them planted. So we got 5 of them here we're going to put up in the window up there. And we're going to water these in good and add a little more dirt if they need a little more dirt. But, you know, for the most part, I mean, it was a success because I got some to grow. But we'll have to work on this and see what I'm doing wrong here. Maybe you know, it's too wet or not wet enough, or maybe I need to let air in. And we're going to experiment again next year. We'll get 25 more seeds and we'll try it again, you know. And if I get a couple of trees a year, that's great. That's all I need, you know, for our property. And I'll keep you posted. You know, hopefully at some point I'll get this process figured out here, and we'll, you know, we'll share it with you when we do. I don't know. I don't know if they freeze, if the fact that they froze, that's bad for them, you know. I really don't know the answer to some of them questions. So, so until next time, you know, if you like this video, you know, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I will keep these. These are going to stay on my deck here in southeast Wisconsin until they are a nice tree. So I don't know if they'll look like that by fall and we'll plant them, or we'll keep them here until next spring and then plant them next spring. But at any rate, I will share with you if I have a success rate or not. Okay? So thanks for watching.